Yes, great. So, hi everyone. I'm Greg. I'm a VR director at Rewind. Most of you hopefully will have heard of us by now. If you haven't, though, I'll tell you a bit about who we are, what we do, and most importantly, what people are paying us to make and what agencies and brands think VR is and how they're using it to sell products and drive it forward. So, Rewind, we define ourselves as an immersive content agency, basically because there's not really a proper way of describing what we do. We came originally from a post-production and VFX background, from commercials and indie feature films, doing creative tech as well and out-of-home activations. About, I guess, 4 years ago now, someone bought the DK1 on Early Bird on Kickstarter, brought it into the office, put it down on the desk, and went, "What's this?" "Oh, we do this now." And ever since then, it's been our core focus. We've gone from it being 5-10% of our slate to 95% of our slate. It's what we do day in, day out, as we create VR experiences for brands, for TV stations, for online, for whoever wants to make it and work with us. The best way of showing what we've been doing, though, is to play this. He says optimistically. So you'll probably notice there's quite a lot of automotive in there, partly because that's our automotive reel, and partly because actually that's where a lot of the brands are engaging initially, because automotive have a huge budget for previewing things, have nearly all of their assets already existing in CG, which means it's an easy transference, and also it allows them to put people in the vehicle and have hundreds, thousands of people experience something in a shopping centre that they can only ever experience in a test drive. But we'll come on to that in a bit. First of all, I guess the best thing is a show of hands. Who's tried VR? Who's had their head in a headset? I'm hoping most of you. Who knows the difference between VR and 360 video? Good. That's exciting. Usually I have to give a catch-all thing about this is 360 video, and this is true VR, and they're different. And there's everything in between, but I think we can skip that. What I would say is as an industry and as people working in it, it's very easy to be snobby and dismissive of that end of the spectrum and only want to work at this end of the spectrum and have arguments about what is VR and what's not VR. I think the decision we've all got to accept is that it's not up to us who calls it VR. What is VR is whatever happens in a headset. If someone's talking to you about making VR content, they don't know. They probably don't know the difference. The people viewing it probably don't know the difference. And so VR is now all of this. And they all have their strengths, their weaknesses, the things they're good for, the things they're bad for. But in the right hands, any of these can be a very powerful and exciting way of creating new content. So in 360-degree video, which is where kind of a lot of people start making content, because the cameras are easy to get hold of, the work is a lot easier than true VR, and actually there's a bigger market for people to display content. There's, 250,000, 500,000 headsets out there, but actually there's a lot of people with smartphones, and that's the people who are watching stuff on a Google Cardboard, or it's actually people who aren't watching in a headset at all, and probably never will. They'll be moving their phone around, not knowing that what they're watching is actually a pared-down version of a VR experience. And it's very easy to overlook that when making content, and it's very easy to be dismissive of that. But actually, made up figures, but from a lot of conversations and a lot of talking to people who are engaging with content, probably only 10-15% of all content that is deemed VR is watched in a headset. The majority of people are engaging with it online, either through their mobile or through a desktop. Probably 50, 60, 70% of those people are doing it through a mobile phone. Probably half of them on the toilet, let's be honest. And then the rest are doing it on a desktop, click and drag. And that accounts for a lot of people's first experiences. And it's interesting and it's challenging because actually what you're trying to do is make content that's deliverable to two different types of people who have two different types of viewing experiences from the same video. The editing choices, the directional choices you make when making 360 video to go in a headset are different when you're trying to make something that grabs people's attention online. Fast cuts, you don't want in a headset. But actually, you can get away with it if someone's just watching on a desktop. And there are a lot of different things to take into account and can actually find you're limiting yourself in what you can make if you're just thinking about just what's going on in a headset, at least in the short term. The figures floating around for what's happening in the long term is, by the end of 2018, there'll be 1 billion users with headsets. That's hopefully true, because that would be great for all of us in this room. But also, probably most of that billion will be mobile phone users in a posh version of a Google Cardboard. That's where it is. And what we need to do is think about making content that will appeal to these people, as well as the more hardcore, dedicated gamers, as opposed to people who are just going to experience it on PSVR, on Vive, on Steam. And these are the kind of videos we've been making in that market. So we worked with this guy, Damien Walters, who was mental, because he likes doing stuff like this, which he does for real, time in, time out. So with making a splash online, with getting hits, with getting things like 1 million+ organic views in 72 hours, you need to do something that's exciting, engaging, that people haven't seen before. This is a stunt he's been wanting to try for a long time. He's like, I can definitely backflip over a car, that'd be fine. How hard can that be? Turns out really hard and really terrifying when you're about this far away from him doing it because you're convinced he's going to die. But what it does is it creates content where people are engaging with 360, in this case, as a second screen version of the online video. Excuse me. They made a hero film, which is a 2 to 3 minute edit, which had about 5 million views. And then obviously with any stunt like this, people are like, well, he didn't really do it, did he? Well, yeah, he did. They're like, nah, it's wires, it's CG, it's something, it's made up. No, it's real. And the way that the guys wanted to prove that it was real was by putting 360 cameras on the car, 360 cameras by the roadside, and letting people look around and explore the space and go, that crane you think he's on, where is it? Oh, it's not there, because he really did it. That, him not jumping over, no, we're not going to spend months rotating that into 360. It allowed them to tell their story that would probably have a lot of doubters throwing at it in a different way, and actually kind of created the proof that's helped the stunt do as well as it has done. And obviously it's done really well for them with 7 million hits and attention to the Formula E brand. The other kind of end of things is the work we've been doing with Rolls-Royce. So, again, not very subtle, Rolls-Royce's most popular video ever, which is pretty good for a 360 video. So this is a combination of CG and shot footage. It's using digital assets for cars, and it's using drone footage over Goodwood, CG element, shoots done inside their factory, all to create a film that's telling their story. This is about the launch of a new car, that's their future car, what cars will be in 100 years. And it allowed them to tell this story and put people in the seat of the car, experience the car, even though it's not real and probably never will be. The film was huge for them and got a lot of engagement, but also just was used as a way of allowing journalists and the people who are going to talk about their thing experience the feeling they were trying to give them rather than just show them the vehicle. And I think where 360 does very well is it puts people in a situation where that's all they're doing and that's all they're experiencing. And by doing that, you can really get them kind of lost in the worlds you're creating, which is why something like this that uses a hybrid of CG, stills, practicals, is so much fun for us to work on and had such an engaging response. And then my mum's favourite, Strictly Come Dancing. So we did this over a year ago, And honestly, I can't believe it's only a year. We did this September last year, and it feels like a lifetime ago because the industry has moved so far since we did this, and the kind of projects we've done has changed so dramatically since we did this that it feels like forever ago. It feels like a job I had 5-10 years ago, not something I did 14 months ago. What's interesting about this is it took the BBC viewers to a different part of Strictly they'd never seen before. You're not used to seeing the Steadicam. You're not used to being able to explore the world. You're not used to being able to look over the shoulder of the cellist. You're not used to being able to just choose your own part of the choreography you're watching, focus on your favourite dancer, focus on this, focus on that. And it was really freeing, and it had a massive response for them. Some people were really excited the Steadicam was gone, because some people really hate Steadicam. Other people, we have a friend who's a cellist. She spent the entire performance just watching her, because she's one of the best cellists in the world. And it's really exciting that the BBC were willing to kind of work out and try and discover how a flagship BBC show can involve new technology. They put it on a taster platform. I don't know if you know about BBC Taster. It's a chance for them to do weird and wonderful things for a limited budget and just see what happens. Completely shifted the demographic of the type of people that you usually watch Strictly. Strictly is people like my mum. Actually, the primary core audience that watch this, 18 to 35-year-old males. I don't know what they're watching the whole time, but it definitely clicked with them. And what it does is it lets people engage with something in a new way, and perhaps the way they've been told to engage with it before didn't work for them, and suddenly this new way just does. When we move into the VR space, this is the bit that anyone likes proper computers and proper game engines gets excited about. This is what we call true VR. Stuff where you're free to explore the space. Stuff where when you turn your head and look around, you see something different. When you take a step forward, what you're viewing changes. And that's obviously amazing fun and allows us to create crazy, crazy experiences. We're very lucky to work with Red Bull early on. I think it's fair to say that a lot of where Rewind is today comes from being very lucky with clients and relationships where they're willing to take a risk on what we wanted to make as much as what they wanted to make. When Red Bull came to us, they wanted to make a 360 video in their plane. Do you know what they've done that 20, 30 times since we made this experience? Every time it gets a few 100,000, a million views online, but it's nothing special. This put people inside the cockpit of the plane and let them experience the fastest motorsport on Earth firsthand. Originally, we made it as a flyable game. Turns out that general people, terrible pilots, absolutely terrible, spent 15, 20 minutes in the experience, having a bad time, never even left the airstrip, half of them. It just wasn't working. And obviously, for someone like Red Bull, what they actually want is 2 to 3 minute experience, quick turnover, get people excited, kick them out, get the next person in, much like their drinks. So what we did is we changed it into a roller coaster experience, put people in the pilot seat, gave them some time to acclimatise to the space they were in, and then let them feel free to just go with it. And it's probably had anywhere from 250,000 plus people go through it. It's been all around the world 3 times accompanying the air race. It goes to an area before the air race arrives. It's used to drive ticket sales and drive engagement. Then goes to the events, the people at the event. I don't know if you've ever been to an air race. It's a little bit boring. It's kind of like the cricket. The highlights are really exciting, but it's a really long day where little bits of excitement happen, but you're there all day and you're not really doing anything for a lot of it. So it gave people a chance to go and experience the planes and see what the pilots were really doing and get a sense that these people are, because they do it so well, doesn't look dangerous, doesn't look life-threatening, but actually are flying at 200 miles an hour plus in tiny spaces and just really putting themselves on the line for you. Another area we're really excited to be working on is music. We've been very lucky to work with Bjork. She is possibly the most amazing person I've ever worked with. I wasn't a Bjork fan before we started working with her. I now love her. I just do. You chat to her on Skype and you just realise you're not listening to a word you're saying. You're just kind of hypnotised by her voice and by her personality, and you're like, oh, I hope someone else was taking notes for that bit. And she's amazing in that she has her vision of things, she has her direction for things, and she has things that she wants to achieve, but she loves working with people that can help her achieve something different and new. She's, when apps first started becoming a part of everyone's everyday life, she was one of the first artists to release a music app. When 360 video was first starting, we did Stonemilker with her, which was a a really boring music video that actually was made beautiful by the fact it was in a 360 headset. So Stonemaker is just a woman singing on a beach about her breakup. That's what it is. But you put it in a headset and you have it performing directly to you, staring in your eyes. You have an arrangement that changes as you turn your head. And suddenly this video that would be absolutely deadly boring on MTV or whatever, if they still played music, is suddenly this really engaging and powerful thing that has people coming out of it in tears because they were there with her, they engaged with her, and they had 6-7 minutes of pure uninterrupted time with Bjork. And that's the other thing that's really kind of fascinating and exciting about anything that happens inside a headset. With the way things are in the modern world, if you're watching any piece of content, engaging with anything, you're always doing something different at once. I'm betting 15 people in this room right now are on their phones. I'm not saying that to bust them. It's true. Everywhere we go, people can constantly reach us, can constantly get hold of us, and can constantly wanting a response instantly. Doesn't matter what you're doing, that's what they're expecting, and you're always connected to things. With VR, and especially with the headsets, actually you have complete control of someone's senses for a period of time. And that's something that's not really available in any other medium at the moment. And that's why it's so exciting and it's so powerful, and also something that we have to see as a privilege and a sense of responsibility. Excuse me. One sec. You know, when you've got someone's unadulterated attention for 3, 4, 10 minutes, you can really take them on a journey and you can really engage with them and do something special with them that other mediums are still fighting to do and can't. When you've got something strapped to your face, you can't be on your phone. You can't be having a conversation with someone else, especially when you're in noise-cancelling headphones, headset on, private room, and exploring a space. And that allows for people to have an interaction and a moment with artists and performers like they've never had before, but is kind of almost the next step on from a live performance. Obviously, you'll never beat live, but as a way for record labels and artists to communicate with their listeners and their fans, it's amazingly powerful and exciting. And then we get into the thing, well, until recently, that was the biggest thing we'd done. Amazingly, that changes every day for us. We worked with the BBC creating a VR spacewalk. It was designed to tie in with the fact that Tim Peake was in space, and everyone in England was really excited. That was it. That was what it was about. And it became a lot more than that. So what we created was a short story in VR. It's an experience that's built in a game engine. In many ways, it's like a video game. But actually, it's completely separate from a video game, because in a video game, yes, there's amazing stories. Yes, there's potential to make people feel things. But a lot of the game, you are exploring an environment, taking part in the action. And that's as much a part of a game as the narrative. In VR, it's a chance to just tell a story, to just put someone in choose their own adventure type space, and really play with it and see where you can take them. In this case, we took them to space to see if they could survive being lost in space. And it's really exciting that someone like the BBC is spending budgets to make stuff like this. They are excited to make things like this, to find ways of communicating science and technology to an audience in a way you don't even know it's being communicated. And for us, it was a real privilege to work with, BBC's drama department as well as their fledgling VR department to really work out how to tell a story in VR and how to make people engage with it. The response to it has been absolutely amazing. It's picked up a variety of awards, including Jury's Prize at Future of Storytelling, which for us is probably the best possible response we could hope for. We've also had guys who have actually been in space go in it and say it's better than NASA's training sim, so done. Don't need to do any more projects, done. But we have. And recently we've been working with Jaguar to launch their Formula E, which is the first time we have done live activations with multiple users in the same space. But on Tuesday, we launched Jaguar's new car in VR. Doesn't exist in the real world apart from that one car. But we took 66 people, put them in a studio, sat them down in desks, put a VR headset on them, and then took them to the world that Jaguar wanted them to be a part of. In that experience, they could see and interact with every other one of those 65 people in the room. Wave your handset, wave your controller. You can see someone over there. They'll wave back. It's done in real time on networks with a pre-made build, obviously. In TV, you have what's called show callers. We had our first VR show caller as well. We had a person who was responsible for skipping through the scenes in Unity, keeping in time with a live broadcast that was happening within the VR as well. So we shot and live streamed in 2 presenters from Jaguar, the lead designer and another guy, who were in the VR space, launching this car to journalists in LA and London in the same virtual world. It's fucking hard work, and we're all very tired. But it was amazing, and it's the kind of thing where, for us, in all honesty, in the office, the dust is still settling, and the guys are only landing back from LA this afternoon. And we're looking at the response it's had. The embargo for it literally was at 4 o'clock today, which is why there's not a nice little slick edit. It's been an absolutely crazy journey where we've really been forced to work hand in hand with a major brand and work out what the hell is possible. And now we've agreed that it might be possible, and they've agreed to make it with us. How the hell are we going to make it? And it's no easy answers for it, but it was an amazing journey to go on with them. And then the response in the press has been mind-blowing, but it's hit both the tech press, the news press, and the automotive press. And by doing this, they've set the template for car launches of the future. I know a bit sweeping and a bold statement, but that's all the headlines said, so I can have it. And it's amazing. It's just a crazy thing that we can get these brands like HTC, like Dell, like Jaguar, and then agencies like Imagination to come together and show kind of their vision of what VR can be, with stuff like the Vive, where it's so expensive and it's not going to be in everyone's home for a while. It's really exciting to us as a company that there are brands that are willing to go, we can't have everyone do this. We can have 70 people do this at once. And it's stuff like that that will help push VR forward as we, in the background, go and work on our own cool things, on our own directions we want to take it in, and really help establish it as something that is a real possibility for us all to keep doing day in, day out, which, let's be honest, is what we want. The future, I guess this is not one for you guys as much, because I'm sure you all know about it. Where it's going next? Holograms. The next step is even more insane than the last step. It's cool enough that you can go to another world. It's even more crazy that you can bring that other world into the real world. I could, put a hologram on that table now. If you've got the right headset on, you can all view it. The potential is endless, and it's a really crazy time to be doing this stuff, where we're already talking about HoloLens with brands. We're already working out what the next thing is, because it's all moving so quickly now that before VR has really even properly hit the shelves, people are on to the next thing. And that's the crazy part of being in the marketing side as well as the IP side, is that now we've done what we did with Jag, someone wants to do what's next. And the answer is holograms, which is pretty exciting. We're one step closer to being on the holodeck. So just quickly, the way we work with brands and the way we develop these ideas, there's kind of three main questions we ask them. We ask them, who is my audience? Now, obviously, that's something that anyone who works in any kind of brand communication has to ask day in, day out. But it's a different kind of question now. It's not, what demographic am I trying to reach? It's not, who are the influencers in this demographic I'm trying to reach? It's, who's actually got the tech? Who is going to be the people that can experience this? Am I trying to make a true VR experience? Am I trying to make a 360 video experience? Am I trying to make something that's a bit of both? Because actually, with limited people to experience the true high-end version of what you're creating, who's going to see it? And how do you make sure they see it? And is that creating a true VR experience with a baked-down app and a 360 video on YouTube that goes along with it? Or is it going, do you know what, maybe we don't need this part of it yet. Maybe that's a goal for next year, and in the short term, we engage with consumers in a different way. That leads on to how will they engage? What are you trying to get from people? Why will they watch your content? If the example I gave until recently was, who will care if you build a stacking shelves app for Asda? And the answer is Asda do, because they were at the last talk I was at and told me they were making one. And that's actually not what they're doing. They're testing their store designs in VR, which is amazing and exciting that they're even thinking in those ways. But when you make something and release it to the world, who's going to use it? Who's going to watch it? And most importantly, will they care? And I know that's kind of flippant, but actually, if you're creating content, why are you creating it? What are you hoping to do? Are you hoping, as a lot of the phone calls we get, just to make something in VR? We get people going, with her, we need to make VR now. Can you make us some VR? You're like, what? That's not real. And what's happening is that a raft of industries are trying to move into this space and take bits of them for themselves and claim it and engage with it and see it as this next cash cow perhaps for them, when it gets a bit more established and trying to get in from day one. But actually, you've got to make stuff that people will be excited about, will want to talk about, will want to share when they come across your video on Facebook and it just starts auto-playing, will want to sit through to the end, not just because it started playing, but because they're getting something from it. And that's the biggest challenge for all of us. But it's also, I think, the thing we all need to keep at the center when we're doing these projects is, great, it's really exciting you want to work in VR, it's really exciting you want to work with 360. That's brilliant. But can we make sure that it's good and it's fun and it's exciting and at the end of it, it's something we can all be proud of and that people will enjoy and want to see more of our content? If we keep making great content and everyone's pushing each other forward, this is here to stay and it's an amazing opportunity. If it's flooded with bad content, it can go away. And that's obviously what no one wants. So that's me. Any questions? No? No? Okay. I'll go this way.
Brilliant.